With Prime, get light bulbs delivered in a day. Edison would be proud.
Indeed, I'm proud.
Get your everyday essentials delivered fast. Prime changes everything.
This is a CBC podcast.
Well, plenty of jobs, but no one is applying, and business owners don't know where to look for help. That is the message in a new report from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Across the country, more than half of small businesses are facing a labour shortage still. Here in New Brunswick, 2/3 of businesses searching for workers say they can't find applicants with the right skills or experience, and feel even more let down by the provincial government. To delve into the report and the current labour market in New Brunswick, we're joined by Louis-Philippe Gauthier. He's Senior Director with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business here in Atlantic Canada. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what picture does your report paint of the current situation in New Brunswick right now?
Well, it's one that's not easy. Over 60% of our members or small businesses in the province are experiencing difficulties in hiring and retaining staff, especially in finding staff. And unfortunately, there's just, for 50% of them, there's no candidates. People are just not responding to the job ads and to the opportunities. Now, 2/3 of our respondents that are looking for labor saying you just can't find the right skill set, so that's another set of issues. But it's making it tougher on them, especially since a lot of the businesses are still recovering at this point. We still have 60% of our members that aren't at pre-pandemic revenues. And from a staffing perspective, 50% of our members aren't even at their normal levels of staffing from before the pandemic. So it's not as easy time. The opportunities are there. Many of the businesses that want to hire people to continue growing or to reset themselves to what it was before the pandemic are having a really tough go at finding people right now.
Earlier in the pandemic, and even just a few months ago, one issue that might have been explaining this, or was explaining it, I suppose, was CERB, people receiving that federal support and maybe not feeling like they needed to get out there and find work. But with CERB ending, what do you think is the issue? I think people hoped that would bring people back.
Well, it recently ended, so we'll have to see over time what's going to be the impact of it. But there's an additional effect. Is some people have just switched from sectors where they're working as well. So while within certain sectors the demand is higher for workers, some of the workers have just moved along to something else. So when we look at the data, the tightness in the labor market is across the board for all intents and purposes. Of course, in the hospitality sector and construction, it's even higher. But there's been movement laterally, if you will, across all the sectors at this point.
New Brunswick's minimum wage is increasing. What impact could that have, do you think?
Based on our data, we asked our members of those that are searching for labor, have you increased your wages? And over 80% of them have said, yes, we have, to try to attract additional candidates. But it's having a limited impact. If you look at the data, you see literally that for 50% of those, they're saying it's had no impact. Because the people are just not there. They're not responding. So if you consider the large increase of next year, that's going to happen over two moments in the year, once in April and one of October. The people that are there are already working, right? So it'll be the roughly 15,000 that are earning minimum wage part-time or full-time jobs, and an additional 30,000 workers that the province estimates. So now all these people already have jobs. So right now, for many of our members, the reality is there's just nobody responding to the ads. So that would indicate that the tightness is truly there within the labor environment, that there's just not enough people there. So that's one of the reasons why one of the solutions to this has to go through immigration and people coming from outside of Canada.
And on that, what about temporary foreign workers?
Well, it's one of the recommendations we're making to the federal government. As you can appreciate, labor tightness issues is a combined responsibility, if you will, and not only federal but provincial governments can actually help. So from a federal perspective, the TFW program would need, from our perspective, to be made simpler and easier to access, and also there should be a path for permanent residency of workers once they've been found and trained and they've been working here for a while. They should have a path to stay in Canada, really, and continue on their lives here if they choose so. So that's one of the paths that we're recommending that be taken by the federal government. There's others. For example, there should be tax relief provided for workers that are over 65 who wants to stay within the workplace. Ideally, that should be there just to alleviate the tax pressure on them because of the point in their lives they're at. Unfortunately, another path will be through automation for some of the businesses that still have the capacity. Now, that'll be a little bit harder because a lot of small businesses have accumulated a substantial amount of debt throughout the pandemic. But for those that can invest, automation should be a path, and there should be some forms of additional tax credit to help them do that in an efficient way. And on the provincial side, well, it's very clear from our data with the amount of our members that are saying that they're not even aware of the programs that the province offers, that there's a communication issue. And that's something that we've communicated to the government, and we're going to continue working on with them to see how we can palliate to that, because it's literally an aberration at this point, if you will, that we have 40% of our members reporting that they're not aware of any provincial programs to help them find the staff they need.
But what provincial assistance is in place to help them with that?
Well, the government a few years back renamed or rebranded itself to Working NB. So in theory, government has been saying, well, if you need people, come knock at the doors of Working NB. Now, all the programs that were there specifically for different kinds of workers were kind of dissolved, and all the money was kind of pooled into one fund. And now that's being used in some forms, which you see, even for myself, knowing exactly how it's being applied is a question mark. So that's something that we'll have to dive into, or is Working NB doing things, of course, but realistically, with 47% of our members not even knowing what programs are available, there's an issue there that needs to be fixed.
What choices will small business owners have to make if they can't find enough workers?
It's going to restrict their growth, their opportunity to recover out of the pandemic. There's no question there. It's going to change their ability to make decisions for the future. How do I expand, or what do I want to do? Do I want to add this product, this service, do other things, start a new business? It makes it tougher for making choices into the immediate future. So businesses are telling us that they've postponed investment decisions, that they've postponed growth decisions. I've even heard business owners verbally telling me, like Philip, why are we still doing this? So the big questioning of why am I doing this does come up in the conversations. Now, usually business owners are a cheery bunch, but as you can appreciate, after almost 2 years of the pandemic and with the labor supply issues become a notch up even harder, it's not making it easy, especially in 2022, next year, for New Brunswick businesses to the point of earlier, with the large increase to minimum wage, CPP increases starting at the beginning of the year, the debt that they have to pay back for the more money they borrowed during the pandemic at the federal level. It's not going to be easy.
All right. Well, thanks for speaking with us. Best of luck with everything.
Well, thank you.
Bye. That's Louis-Philippe Gauthier with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Comment on this, get in touch. info@ammoncton@cbc.ca.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.